So my name is Carrie Nath. My job here is to be the Director of Equitable Access, because here at Blue Barn, we believe in diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. But one of my favorite things is to get to come out here and talk with fabulous storytellers and actors and human beings about what it means to do a play at Blue Barn and what this play means to them, to us, to all of us. Our mission at Blue Barn is to provoke thought, emotion, action, and change. And this is one of those ways that we can do that, one of the many ways. So we're gonna start. We've got about 15 to 20 minutes of questions for Anna and for Katie. But if you are burning to ask something with something they're talking about, please just put that hand up in the air. And if you are able to raise a hand or however you want to get our attention. And then we'll take about the last 10 minutes for questions from the audience. The goal is to wrap up in about 30. So let's just get started.
Yeah.
Shall we? First question on the list. And this is meant to be conversational, right? So let's keep it conversational. Yeah. So the play, this is a big one. The play intertwines personal trauma with constitutional analysis. How did you approach that juxtaposition? And I don't know which of you would like to go first. Maybe Katie, do you want to take that?
I will start.
Okay.
You can think about it. So when we did this in 2023, Heidi Schreck came to town, and she did like an event before the show, and she was very generous with her time, but she doesn't watch the first part of the play. She only watches from the debate forward. And the reason why is because the play is her family's history and story, and that for a couple of years, this was one of the top 10 produced plays in the nation. And so the idea of having to relive that trauma over and over again was too overwhelming. And so she would just watch the debate forward. And I think about that all the time as we're doing it. And it's sort of a dangerous thing as an actor to like cast people from your own life in stories of violence and trauma. But it is not a dangerous thing as an actor to practice deep empathy. And so while I don't necessarily think about my own mother, my own grandmother, my pictures of my great-great-grandmother, I do think about how I feel about them and what it would feel like to know that some of the circumstances in the play had happened to them. So that's the personal trauma part of it. The constitutional analysis part, Heidi's way smarter than I am, and way more interested in constitutional law than I am. And so I have learned a lot about, particularly this go around. So in 2023, a lot of my focus was just getting the words under me, because as you know, it's a lot of words for my particular role. And so this time, I've been able to read more about Justice Scalia and Justice Douglas and Justice Blackmun and about Estelle Griswold. And it's sort of like, if you've seen Lin-Manuel Miranda do any interviews about Alexander Hamilton and the musical, he was reading Ron Chernow's book and he had this thought like, this is a hip hop story. And then it all kind of creatively came together. And so knowing more about the historical figures it feels like it allows me to like root deeper into the play. I don't know that I actually answered your question, but hopefully that provided a little context.
I think it does, because you've got because the law can, as some people may say, be dry, right? And yet the topic and the events, the lifey part is so rich.
Right.
Right? How do you bring those together in a way that serves each purpose?
Yes.
And I think that answered that.
Yeah.
I was going with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And also I learned, like, for this go around, so Heidi in her prepared oration, the very first thing that she says, the Constitution is a living document. And Justice Antonin Scalia had like a speech that he would take to colleges when he was active and healthy and alive. And he would say the Constitution is dead, dead, dead. And so I did not realize in 2023, but I realize it now, that her coming out the gate with that as her first sentence, she's like planting a flag for those that might like pick up on it subconsciously. And it's things like that that inform the play that like, I don't need to go see the audience in the lobby and be like, did you pick up on that little wink at Justice Scalia and his like, doesn't matter. But that I know and can root it, I think it infiltrates our subconsciouses, whether we can talk about it or not. Yeah. What about you?
What about you?
So I'm not in the first part of the play, and that's where a lot of the kind of emotional trauma gets brought in, but I hear you guys perform it back there every single time. And there are some moments where I just sit and think about it, and they're so beautiful. And I like think of other stories I have heard, like people I know, people I don't. But no, because I don't have to perform that part, and it's just so, so, so beautiful to hear every single night.
Do you watch on the screen or do you just listen?
There's a screen.
Oh, okay. We have I'll show you on the way out. We do have a TV screen that serves as a monitor, and it is a video of so you could watch, but I love that you listen, and I don't want to take that from you.
I had absolutely no idea this was a screen. Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Because there's like one time I sat in the audience during rehearsal, and that's the only time like I've actually seen it. But there you go.
There you go.
Power of words, though, right?
Yes,
like
of
the
course.
words are all.
But then for the like analyzing the Constitution part, the only times I've ever had to like really think about the Constitution is like for school. They're like, memorize the Bill of Rights, memorize this, memorize that, and they don't actually involve thinking. Which is like really too bad, which is really, really unfortunate. And it's just like have this memorized for this part of the test so you can write it down and then forget about it later. And so getting to do this and learn so much about how it has impacted people and it is impacting people and how it has shaped the life I live today is just, it was so interesting because both of my parents are lawyers, so I've been kind of like raised with lots of thoughts about the law and like how it impacts what we do. But I've never thought about it like this before, and it was wonderful. It's been so helpful.
So the next generation coming up, right? We're gonna be okay. Yeah. But I also want to say, this is not one of the questions. Katie Becker Colón is one of the most fierce, fabulous, ferocious human beings, who's just a stellar human being. And Anna Conway came out fierce and ferocious, toe to toe, and just brought this story to life with both of you together. So let's give it up.
So John, who could not stay this evening, he has an 8-year-old daughter, and before the play, we're like talking in the dressing room, and John was kind of peppering Anna with questions like, when did you get a phone? When did you get social media? What's your relationship to YouTube? What do you do for a camera? How do you, and basically, and was able to say, and I agree, he was like, you're amazing, and so whatever your parents did with you, I would like to do with my daughter. It's just a very multi-generational moment of yes, and like accurate, like yes, very good.
So true. All right, question 2. The show references multiple generations of women, right? So how did that affect your approach to telling the story? Your approach to telling the story. And I know also you say like, I'm not out here for the first part of that, but maybe to start with Anna this time,
yes,
and
please.
say, maybe listening to it every night too. How does that inform when you come out here?
So just listening to it, it's really cool to hear how, with Heidi's like her great grandmother down to like where she is now, and how things have just changed so much. Like, she describes some of the like horrible things that happened to her family like before her, and the fact that she was just there and she was like, I think this needs to be said, and I'm going to talk about myself. And the fact that she's putting that out there for like the world to hear, and the fact that we get to do that every time we perform, and then we get to share the story of her family and all those women, and like any other woman who's gone through similar situations, or any women that they bring up to in the show who she's not related to, and how we get to share their voices and stories. And like, I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely learned a lot tonight. Like, there were like through this play, like I did not know about a lot of these people and a lot of these like cases and trials and like experiences before I was part of this play. And just the fact that like you guys get to go out every night and tell that story, and then I get to come on stage and be like, so you've heard about like what was leading to here, but like here I am. I'm what we've built up to. I'm like representing like youth of now, and like
And
how
hope. I mean,
yeah.
to me, you represent hope. And I'm sorry to interrupt
No,
you.
you were all good.
Okay. But like when you come out, it's like, oh, thank God. Maybe because I've been talking a lot, but also just there is something, I think, and I don't know that I told you this like early in rehearsals, but I would see you come out and immediately sort of like tear up, because there is something, and this happens actually whenever I go to like a high school show, there is something about seeing a brave young person in the light that just like messes me up. And so it's like now I hold it together a little bit more, but to your question, Carrie, about multi-generations, when we did this in 2023, I learned that I was pregnant with my second daughter about halfway through the run. And so it felt like I was infusing her through my body with these stories in order to give voice to them, like you were saying. Because our storytelling is so powerful, but then also like it felt like I was carrying around a little nugget of hope. And that, sometimes I think about this play as being a heavy backpack. Sometimes I leave the theater and I feel so sad. Sometimes I cry on the way home because my body just has to process everything that we're talking about. But then like having that little seed of hope with me really helped me in 2023, and then some of that muscle memory is here in 2025 as well.
If you don't mind my going to the next question.
Please.
Is that all right? And this is specifically for you, Katie, because you've done this before.
Yes.
Okay. Is there one moment in the play that hits you differently every time? And is there a moment that changed so drastically from before to now?
Yeah. I think that what hits a little differently every night is the statistics. So when I talk about 1 in 4 girls, 1 in 4 women, 10 million American women living in violent households. And I think the reason why that hits a little bit different is that it depends on how much of that I'm ready to sit in. It's tricky when you have a play that's a play. I'm not actually Heidi, but the statistics, we check them so that we're not speaking falsely, and they are still true. And that's hard. That's hard to like be in the room with. And so every time we come to that, it hits a little bit differently. I think it comes out of my body and my voice a little bit differently. And then something in this 2025 version that's different from 2023. Penumbra. So we wrote a new cue for Penumbra. Blue Barn very smartly saved some things from the 2023 production. One of them was the light plot. And so when we were staging it, we were like, keep it about the same so that the light cues can stay about the same. And that made our technical rehearsals go very quickly, which I was very thankful for. Another thing was the frames. All of the frames were saved. And so like that was a huge effort. It was nice that those things were here from 2023. But when I come down in the prepared oration and I talk about the penumbra, this shadowy space of partial illumination, the last time I did it, I stayed up on the platform. And there was something really powerful about sticking my hand in the gray area and sitting in it and then like playing with it a little bit. that was very freeing this time that I didn't remember being freeing when we did it in 2023.
And that makes, just, if you don't mind my adding to that, that penumbra changes based on the audience every night. Because the differences lie in all the different
shadows.
themes,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
I have one more question, and do you mind if I just take it to Anna?
Please, oh my gosh. Thank God.
So, if this story were told from a different perspective, say as a man, or as a BIPOC immigrant, or as a queer youth, how would it shift?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's a small question.
Yes, of course. So I'm like trying to think of each of them individually and kind of see how that would change. That is a hard one.
Do you want to pick one?
Sure. I'm gonna do the queer youth actually. So are we saying from like what perspective in the play? Because there's obviously like if a queer youth wrote this or like acted it or
So
do we
from
have any idea?
that person's perspective,
Okay.
and the party wants to say yes, it's whatever you,
Yes.
because it's a little bit of an obtuse question
Yeah.
too, right? So what would the shift be? What might be some things from the perspective of queer youth that would become a topic or become a part of the story?
Well, I am like in an environment where a lot of my friends at school are in the LGBTQIA plus community. And so I hear a lot about them and their kind of experiences. And I have a friend who came out to me as trans recently. And it's been really hard for him because he goes to a Catholic school that is not very accepting of that. Don't worry, I'm not outing anyone, they're not in Omaha. But it's been so hard to hear like everything he has to go through, and just I think it would be so interesting if there was a platform for him to express that to everyone instead of just having a few people he can go to, because you guys were so lovely and you listened and you did so wonderful tonight. But just having that platform and being able to speak on experiences and how the government is affecting how he lives, or how like any of my friends live, and how that like goes through their day-to-day life, because there's so much of that right now, and that is very unfortunate. And I think it would just be so important for there to be a safe space for anyone to go to, and just so they can hear about it and learn and kind of have that like call and wake up that this play gives, and give that to just bigger groups of people and audiences. Yeah, I don't know, sorry, it's a really tough question.
It's a great answer. Can we give it up for both of them? Before I do, we'll open it up to the audience. I do want to clarify one thing as well. I made a statement earlier. I said, raise your hand if you are able, or however you can get our attention. I want to be clear that raising hand is not the only abled. Abled is however your body mind gets attention, right? All of those are ability. And so I just want to be clear about that. Sometimes I'm not as clear with that statement, and it reinforces a societal belief that I do not share. So however you want to get our attention, if you have a question, let us know. What's up? What you thinking? Yes?
You anticipate, as this goes on, any pushback out of necessity? It's obviously political, I think. Comes across to a certain extent that way, which I appreciate. But are you worried about an audience having some pushback on some of the things that are said or promoted?
Are we worried about audience having pushback, was the question, about anything that's promoted or brought up in the show?
Yeah. Short answer, no.
Yeah.
And that the reason why is that pushback is a good thing.
Yeah.
So I think that like while crucible of the Constitution, the witch's cauldron, is not the thing that we land on, I do like the idea of like us all being in a room together and having to think through things. And also, I think that the debate is a lost art. You know, I was raised in Kansas, in the heartland, and was told early, like, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion, don't talk about money, don't talk about sex. And so now, you know, there's a generation of people who are my age who don't know how to talk about any of those things. And we need to, right? Like, that's how democracy continues. And so I think if someone came in here with a really hot opinion that was opposed to anything in the play, that this would be a good space to dialogue about it. I hope.
And I think that goes along, again, coming back to that mission, to provoke thought, emotion, action, and change. And that doesn't mean just in the way certain groups think. That means bringing us all together to have that conversation. And it gets tricky. You know, we're having a panel next week too. We have a member that was coming. They're not able to make it now, but they were a member of the state legislature, and somebody was like, do you think people are going to show up? And I'm like, well, if they do, we'll have the conversation, right? We'll have the conversation, because that is something that was always the intention, I think, behind the Constitution. You don't have to agree, but you have the conversation. And in this society, as we know, that's a little more challenging in different arenas, right? Anything you want to add to that?
I was just going to say that anytime you want to express a thought or an idea or something, there is always going to be someone that does not agree with you, or is kind of like, I don't know about that. But yes, like having a space like this and being able to hear about it, and like I say in the play, the reason I love debate is because it lets me express my opinions while also hearing others' thoughts. And that's like what's so perfect about this show, is like you get that. You can, even if someone doesn't entirely agree, they are here to hear other ideas and maybe learn a little bit. Maybe they won't, but that's what you do when you put ideas and just art out there. That's what's gonna happen. Like, so no, I don't think we're worried about it. Yeah.
Thank you. Good question. Thank you. Who else? Yes.
Is there a line of dialogue, or since you are privy to the script, perhaps a safe direction, that resonated with you in a surprising way? Like, just something you didn't expect to really click, but it did.
So a line that resonated in a specific way, or that you didn't expect.
Yeah. Good question. Woo, there's a lot of lines. I can say this, that the coming back to this play after 2.5 years, the part that came into my brain and my mouth and my body faster than any other part in the play is when I talk about, I'm in clause 2 and I tell the Legionnaire to stop the clock. And then I talk about getting pregnant and going to Seattle for the abortion. That entire section, it was like we rehearsed it once and it all just like came right back into me. And it was a little scary, actually, because it was like, ooh, these aren't my words, these are somebody else's words, and yet they like, and there is something about the storytelling of that, the way that it's structured is that she's talking about what happened when she went to the free pregnancy test, and then she steps out of it and talks about what she was thinking, and then she steps back into the story, and then she does it again. She talks about being in the car with her mom, and then she like pulls out what she was thinking, and then she comes back to the car, and there's something about that just felt very natural is the word that comes to mind in the structure of it. So when I say like that is everything that I was thinking while Marcy and I were hugging, I think that would be the line of dialogue that I would pick because it is like all encompassing. Yeah. Anything for you?
So it's not my dialogue, but when you talk about the restraining order and then the husband kidnaps the 3 daughters and kills them, I have 2 sisters and I love my parents. I have no risk of that happening to me. But the fact that there was 3 girls out there like me and my sisters that had that happen to them hit so hard when I heard you say that the first time, and I just like started crying in the audience. Like, I heard that, and every time I hear you talk about that, I try to remember them and be like, that's people like me and my sisters, and that happened to them.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good question. Thank you. Other questions, thoughts, things you want to share? Both went up at the same time. I'm going to go here and then come over here. Yep.
So I guess I was a little confused, and this is like a one question. So during the debate about the abolishing the Constitution or not, one, was that y'all's actual thoughts, and two, if you were to go about abolishing the Constitution, how would you do it?
If you were going to, so can you, and it's two parts, yes? Can you say the two parts one more time?
So one, was that your actual belief? Because I know the person chose to actually abolish it, and I don't know if it was your line where it's like, well, I actually agree with this for the place.
Right.
So would you guys, as you are now, abolish the Constitution, and if so, what would that look like?
Okay,
Yeah.
so as Katie and as Anna, what would you vote at this point, to abolish or to keep?
Yeah.
That's the question?
So yeah, to address the first part of the question, the debate is written. It is scripted. And so, part of the deal as an actor is like owning the words. And I would say that for the most part, the points that are made for both abolish and keep the Constitution, I agree with. I actually do both sides of the debate. So when I'm with Anna does abolish and I do keep. And then on the nights when Kylie is the actor playing the debater, I do abolish and Kylie does keep, and it is as confusing as it sounds. So I make all the points that are made throughout the debate, but depending on whom I'm debating. So, which means that, to answer your question, I have to believe in all of it. So believing in the points of why to abolish and believing in all the points of why to keep. I do think, though, you say it in your intro,
I was going to mention that. Actually,
yes, that you think it's both, and that's scripted too.
Yeah.
Personally, if I were to go about abolishing the Constitution, how would I do it? I would probably put the power back to the states, which is already, there's quite a bit of that in the Constitution. That's always been a part of the government, is the sovereignty of the state. And so it just means that all the federal laws would dissolve and we would defer to state laws, which would put a lot on the state legislature to get, if there were things in the federal Constitution that they wanted to keep in the state, they'd need to pass those things pretty quickly. Very scary. I would not advocate for that, but that's how I would do it. What about you?
I don't think I would get rid of it either, but I would definitely be like, hey, we definitely need to fix some things here. Bro, we really need to work out checks and balances. I'm gonna be so honest. We need to revisit that. Sorry, we need to revisit that a little bit. I try to bring back more specific, hey, we should have rights here. Hey, this should be a right for this group of people because we're all people. So no, I just think keeping what we have now, updating some things, and bringing some points that both you and I make, you talk about amendments, and specifically what those would be, I think would be very, very helpful.
Yeah. There's a book that just came out. It's called We the People by Jill Lepore. I might be saying her name incorrectly. But it is about... There's a lot of topics in this play that are in the book. I just read an excerpt of it in The Atlantic. If anyone is interested, I would look up Jill Lepore, The Atlantic, and it's about amendments and how we haven't passed an amendment in a really long time and the reason why. And it's very fascinating. I did not know a lot of kind of the backstory of that. So if you have any desire to learn more about amendments and how it works in our country, I found that article to be very interesting.
I was actually talking about that article with my dad.
You
after the Wednesday dress rehearsal.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for both those questions. And I usually give a heads up, but I think based on time, I said I'm going to keep track of time, and then the conversation gets so good. But Perhaps this will be our last question then for the evening that's coming back over here.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's not really a question as much as a thought that the whole conversation has kind of made me think about that I hadn't realized from the first iteration. That Heidi says a couple things, one, a lot of things, but one that's later on in the play that says something like, what is it that you say? There are no tangents.
There's no tangent. There are no tangents in this show.
There are no tangents in the show. And when you first come out, you speak about imagining the space.
Yeah.
And you say you forgot to imagine a door.
Yeah.
However, and like I thought that was one of those lines. For the first time, I'm realizing there's no door on purpose. That we're in this space, getting a chance to discuss these ideas and debates, and could only hope for a differ of opinion, so that might be able to spark. And it's not that there's nowhere to run. There's doors for real, but we're here to listen to each other, and I'm so thankful for a talk back like this, where we can share those ideas, even if we don't agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's such a beautiful observation, because it's like the is it a Chekhovian idea that if you like write a gun into a story, then the gun eventually has to fire. Like you have to do something, right? If you have a door on a set, you expect someone to use it. But when you don't have a door, then you kind of like, I think when Anna comes out, if you haven't seen the play before, I mean, if you looked at the program, you knew that there was somebody else in this play, but like, oh, there's a surprise person. But you could expect that it's just John and I the whole time. And so there is something about, we create a bubble. We create a bubble in which we can all like be protected in this journey, a force field, if you will. We can go through this journey together safely. Thank you.
Yeah. Any last words, Anna, for the audience this evening?
Ooh,
Or last words for right now?
I don't know. This has been a wonderful experience, and it's just taught me so much that I probably would not have learned without this show. And just thank you to like all of you for being a part of it, and thank you for coming tonight. I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys were awesome. You guys were great.
Yeah. Yes, agreed.
Katie, anything you would like to?
What Anna said. Thank you. Live theater is awesome, and it gives our heartbeats an opportunity to line up, even for just a brief amount of time. And so the fact that like we were all connected, even for just a moment tonight, is so powerful, and could not have had tonight without each and every one of you. So thank you for choosing to spend Friday evening with us. Very cool.
And great transition to say we can't have these talkbacks without you either. So thank you for staying. Thank you for supporting Blue Barn Theater. Thank you for bringing your bodies and minds into this space and sharing with us. We deeply appreciate it. This is recorded and will be available online if you want to watch it again or use it in classrooms. So thank you, Franco, for taking care of that for us. Have a fabulous night, and thank you again for coming out tonight. Thank you so much.